Aloha everyone, this is Dr. BethAnne, and I usually do poetry and perspective on Fridays, but surprise, it's Monday and we're doing it today instead because it's really good to shake things up and mix things up. So today's poem is from my book Heliotrope Nights. It's called Architect, and this one came up last week at an intuitive writing workshop for women that I was teaching, and the women really liked it, and it felt really relevant for where a lot of us are at in life right now, so I thought it would be a good one to share. So this is called Architect. It is a series of letting goes and looking behinds and moving forwards and finding the gravity to move our feet towards instead of away. The hardest thing we'll ever do is rise when life calls instead of falling back into those shapes we knew so well. But nobody ever discovered something new by staying in the area which they'd already charted. And if you want to be an architect whose cities break the molds of men, you have to learn to build buildings out of faith, fire, and something unfathomable that you believe but can't quite see. I wrote this poem, it would have been in the fall of 2016 or the winter of 2017, because it was before I moved to the island of Kauai. And at the time, it was a reflection on feeling like called towards this vision that I couldn't entirely see, but I could feel it. And the poem was a personal reflection of, you already know what life looks like in your Alaska life. You don't know what life is going to look like over there. And that was really terrifying, but it was also liberating, because it was like, well, you're not going to discover what's waiting for you if you stay here. You're only going to find it if you go over there. And I did, and it's all been different than what I thought, and I will write more poems and books about that. But I chose to share this poem because there's not a single person that I've talked to this last year where life has not been going through a change process. Now, if you're one of those where it's been really stable, that's awesome. We all have ebbs and flows and cycles, but every single person that I've talked to in my individual work and then in my social relationships and just my own connections has had a year of radical change. And some of that has been really hard change, or it's been a year of uncertainty, or a year of, are we there yet? You know, we thought we were setting out to do something and we thought it would have manifested or been created or look a certain way by now. And instead, we're still maybe kind of feeling our way in the dark and saying, you know, I don't know where I'm going. Am I even headed in the right direction? Did I get it wrong in the first place? It's been a really transformative year for a lot of people. So if you are in that boat, it's an awesome boat to be on. It's been a hard one, but like, welcome to the yacht. You're in good company. We're all in this together. And I wanted to read this poem as a reminder that it feels really good to be in a space of knowing. Of course it does. Psychologically, we are more comfortable when we know, because we know what to anchor into. We have a sense of certainty that makes us feel better, and it makes us feel more secure and stable, right? That's kind of like basic base stuff, of feeling supported, stable, and secure. And yet at this point in time, most of us are being invited into a deeper relationship with ourselves, a deeper relationship with our life, and a deeper relationship with spirit. And that means we have to get brave, and we have to be willing to venture into the unknown. We have to be willing to leave behind the certitude of what we knew in order to step into new terrain. And that new terrain is where we learn how to trust. It's where we learn how to wander past the edges, the boundaries, the skin of who we once were, in order to go through metamorphosis and turn into something new. If we stay in the same place and we cling to that, there's no way that we can be an architect who thinks out of the box and who builds a life that is vivid and quantum and juicy and delicious and really authentic and true, because we stay in the comfort zone and we stay in what's familiar. And nobody discovered anything new in the comfort zone. We can only find that for ourselves when we dare to venture forth and dare to stay curious and say, I wonder what will happen if I do this. So my exhortation for you this week, wherever you find yourself, is that if you are in a space of unknowing, whether you're like me and you chose that, I chose to say I'm going to go to Kauai and I'm going to find out what happens over there. Now, I did not choose all the things that have happened since I got here, but I'll own the root origin of the choice. I chose that. Some of you are wandering in places that you didn't choose. It might feel like somebody else chose it for you, or something happened in your life that forced you into change. I get that too. When I lost my brother suddenly, that was forced change. It was not of my choosing, and I found myself in there anyways. But what I would offer, whether you chose it or not, is that the opportunity when we are in a space of unknowing is to push beyond who we once were and to become more than what we were before. And that space of nebula is where we begin to find something bigger. It's where we begin to break out of the box and break out of the mold and see things with new perspective. And it can be highly uncomfortable, but it can also be profoundly beautiful when we allow ourselves to stay open to our own change process and stay curious and dare to ask, who will I become if I continue wandering past my own lines? And I fully believe that life and spirit will meet us there and will help bring about a new definition and bring about a new vision of self that serves who we are becoming instead of who we used to be. So have a beautiful week. Thanks so much for joining me for Monday Poetry and Perspective. And I wish everybody much aloha and light and hope and trust in the process.